Alright guys, so I'm going to film two different things for you right now. First, I found this frog, and it looks like it hasn't been modified at all from its original stock. The hooks are a little rusted, but I want to go over how I set up frogs straight out of the box. So even though this is one I found and it's a little beat up, I'll still be able to show you everything I do to get this out of the box ready to fish the way I do to help produce better hookups. The second thing is my Sprinker Frog. I lost the weight to it today. As you can see, it's missing there. So I'm going to try and do some surgery to get a different weight to fit in there. I picked up a couple different plastic glues here, so I'm going to try and perform some surgery. I got some scissors as well to help me out with the frog, and a knife, and some guitar picks that I'm going to use in case I need to kind of spread that plastic glue out a little bit. I got to go grab some pliers because they're going to come in handy for this setup, and then we'll go from there. Alright, we're back. I got my pliers as well, my Ardent pliers. They work really good. They got a line cutter on them too. Haven't had a chance to use that because I always have a knife or fingernail clippers on me. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the setup for new frogs out of the box. So as you can see, most frogs out of the box come with really long legs. Now, in certain applications, it's good to leave them like that. But a lot of the times, there's two different types of bites I've found with bass blowing up on frogs. They'll come up and they'll inhale the whole thing, and they'll collapse that body down, and you'll be able to get the good hook set. Or they kind of side swipe at it, and they tend to go more towards the back and pull it down. So when you have the longer legs like this, you tend to get a lot more short strikes, and they'll grab the back of it, you know, just the legs or just a little bit underneath where the actual hooks are, and they'll pull it down like that, and they'll actually hold on to it. But when you set the hook, they're not up past those hooks. So as soon as you set the hook, it's just pulling it right out of their mouth. So one of the first things I do is I trim up the legs on it. You can see if you kind of lift the legs up over top of the body, they're actually longer than the whole body of the frog itself. So general rule of thumb, what I do is I'll grab both pairs of legs, both strands in one hand, and I'll kind of pull it tight, and we'll take it and we'll bring it right up to the top of the eyes, and then I just kind of pinch my thumb there. So I'll let it go a little slack like that, just kind of twist it and let it go a little slack, so that you kind of get a little bit of differentiation in the strand lengths there. And then I just take some scissors, snip right through it. See, we'll see, I don't know how well it's going to show up or not in my hand here, but those are some of the strands that I just cut off, and they're probably about 2 inches long that I just took off of the back side of those. And you can see there's a little bit of different points of where those skirts come down to now, so they're not all one significant length. So it's going to kind of allow it to flutter more as well with them being trimmed like that. So that's the first thing I always do no matter what, right out of the box with the frog, is I take those skirt legs and I trim them up right to the eye length. And you can see a couple of them stayed a little bit longer, but they're not up way past the bait like they were before. So that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is, weedless frogs are great with their hooks where they are if you want to continue to stay weedless. And you can see as I push down, this frog's a little old and worn out. Like I said, the hooks are all rusted and everything. So normally you don't get a whole lot of push. You know, it'll be soft and it'll go down, but even still, if I go to a side view there, I have that pressed all the way down to the bottom of the hook, and there's not that much out there for you to be able to set that hook into the top of a fish's mouth. So I like to make it slightly a little less weedless. It'll still run through most things fine, you know, even like real thick heavy lilies, but I like to bring them up some and out some. And I don't know how well it's going to work with these since they're rusted, but I'm going to try and do that now with the pliers. And it takes a little bit of muscle with it, but generally I grab like right around where the bend is, but below the barb of the hook, and I kind of squeeze down on the back side here, and I just pull it up and out a little. And you got to kind of play with it some, because it's going to play some before it bends. But you can see I got it out about where I want it, but I want to get it up just a little bit more. So we'll try and get it up some more. So that's kind of about where I like to set mine up, to where it almost looks like an EWG worm hook, you know, coming in flat on the top there, and you know, kind of running the same profile of the bait. And you can see it gives it a little bit more hook exposure. I don't know how well you can see it looking down it, but you can see this side kind of angles in, and that's what helps keeps it weedless, which is great. But you can see just a little bit of tweaking I did there. This is still enough to keep it weedless. But now when you push down for that hook penetration, you got just a little bit more room there. It's going to allow you to hook up better. So those are the two main things that I do. I'm not going to do this other hook because I'm actually going to use the weight in this for the surgery on my Sprinker Frog here. But those are the two main things that do. The other thing is I always keep some sort of glue around for this case. Now, I was out of glue, so I wasn't able to have any on this weight. But what I'll do is I'll take some plastic zap or some plastic surgery by Sure Hold, or mend it, or even in the rare chances that you can't find any of that, you can just get regular super glue. And you know, you can pop the frog up, out and away from the hooks and kind of spin it and just run some super glue all around that weight. Same thing with up here by the nose. You know, when you start really getting to where the fish are beating it up and they're flipping the frog inside out and everything, just put some super glue right around there. And you can also use it for if the hooks dig into the side of the frog and, you know, they puncture it, or if this starts ripping up from them twisting around and you having a big heavy fight. You know, you can take some super glue and just run it along there. You know, especially the stuff that's made for plastic, it's going to help mend that back together and make it just as strong as it was when it's brand new. Or, if you get on it early enough, you can prevent it from even happening in the first place. So, that's the main things I do with setting up a frog. And again, we'll show you kind of a top view there. You can see it's not a whole lot that I adjusted this one, but it's enough to where that hook penetration, I mean all the way down, you get just that little bit extra. And that's what really counts for me. And I've noticed since I do those two things, bass, northern snakehead, pike, anything that I've been targeting for with topwater hollow-bodied frogs, those are smaller pike by the way, anything that I've been targeting with them, my hookup ratio drastically improved as soon as I started shortening up these skirts, gave them a little variety in length, and I started bending those hooks. So that and the super glue, plastic rated super glue if you can get it, best stuff to do for anything with a hollow body frog to kind of expand the life of it and help your hookup ratios. So I hope that helps out with that. I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the video and work on doing some surgery on my Sprinker Frog. Alright guys, so I'm back with the Sprinker Frog. I went ahead and kind of cleaned up the area here. It still had some glue from the last weight on it, so I kind of chipped that off with my fingernails and knife a little bit. Try not to dig into the plastic too much. And then I used one of these fish defunk wipes. They're used mainly for odor removal, but they're basically baby wipes. They had a little bit of alcohol in them, so I kind of cleaned up the whole surface area, popped the weight out of the other frog. I did the same thing. I cleaned the weight up pretty good with those wipes as well, and I'm going to want to leave a few of those wipes on hand just for, you know, cleanup purposes. If I happen to get some on my fingers, I'm going to want to wipe it off right away. You know, this super glue, it's just like any other super glue. You leave it on your fingers a little bit too long and it's going to be stuck there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave one of these out and on the ready. And like I said, I got some guitar picks here in case I need to kind of smooth it out or help work some glue in anywhere. And we're going to go from there. So it's not quite the same setup. You can see the old frog has a little indentation there. So it is going to sit out and look a little bit funky, but I'd rather try and do this first before putting out the money to go ahead and buy another frog. So hopefully I don't rip the plastic or anything like that. You can see both of them have the hooks flipped around just kind of for ease of access to the weight hole there. So I want to go ahead and make sure I can get this to fit in here good, and as soon as we do that, we'll probably go right to applying the glue in there. So it's probably going to take a little bit of a struggle here to get this weight in, but shouldn't be too big of an issue. Just kind of got to work it around. So it actually sits in there really nice with a dry fit there. But I'm still gonna kind of bend it like this and get some of this glue down in there and really give it a chance to set up and hopefully hold and make this Sprinker Frog usable again, which I can already say just by looking at it, it's not sitting out that much there. So if I just flip it around while it's dry fitted, you can see it's not really affecting anything at all with the frog itself. So that should be good to go there. And we're going to get ready to go ahead and apply some glue here. So like I said, I'm just going to kind of bend it down and squeeze some glue down in there. Kind of pull it up. Go over to the other side. Try and do the same thing here. You just want to fill that whole area up with glue. It's already getting on my finger some, that's why we left this out, so it's already serving its purpose there. I'm just going to kind of run some around the outside here too. Now, at this point, I don't think a fish is really going to care how bad the glue looks on it. I'm just going to kind of run it all the way around the top of the... I got out of the shot there. I'm going to kind of run it all the way around the top as well. So if you blow on it, it'll kind of help level out everything. The frog doesn't sit level either, so you know, that's one of those other things we have to worry about there. We're going to go ahead and cap this back off. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to have a guitar pick around. You get some drips running down the side, you can just kind of take this and clean it up. Clean off the hands real good here too. So we're going to go ahead and run that under a fan for a second there and try and get that dry. And then I'm probably going to come back across with this plastic za and see, this Cures Clear as well as the plastic surgery from Surehold. I'm going to see if I can kind of just get a second coat over it with something else, maybe get them to bond together and make a little bit stronger of a bond there. So we're going to do that, but as you can see, you got a little bit of like metal to rubber melding there. I might have went a little bit too heavy on the glue, so that'll be the other reason why I come back across with that plastic za and just kind of go over it, make sure we keep it as strong as possible there. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this real quick and then we'll check back in. Alright, so we're back. What I did was I hung it on a little fan for a minute there and got the paint or the glue to dry. So it's still a little sticky, but it's not too bad. I want to go ahead and get this second coat on now and allow them to kind of bond with each other. Hopefully it won't overcome this little part where I had a bad chemical reaction. I'm not sure if that was from the metal of the weight or from the paint that's on the weight, but hopefully putting this other coat over it will kind of tighten that up and make it a little bit stronger there. So we'll take a look at that. We'll go ahead and break the top off of this. Definitely ran some over there. So we want to get on that before too much gets around. And same thing as before, we're just going to take the excess here with a guitar pick and just wipe it on this piece of brown paper bag that I set up. We shouldn't need any more, so we'll go ahead and cap it. Put that cap temporarily up on the top. I'm just kind of scraping around right now around the outside of the body of the frog, just making sure I didn't miss any that might have dripped down somewhere. It's a good idea to have the light on. I can kind of get a reflection of it there, but it looks like for the most part I got all of it. So that looks like it's got a pretty good shine on it there. So we're going to let this go back on the fan and dry up, and that should be the end of it. It's just going to be a quick check-in at the end to show you that I flipped the hooks back over and everything looks fine. That'll be the end of that. So that's a little frog repair. If I would have had this glue before, I probably wouldn't have lost the original weight on this. But luckily enough for me, I had found this other one, so I was able to give you guys the modification video and a repair video all in one here, because I'd much rather run the Sprinker Frog than this, especially with these hooks being all rusty. Kind of don't trust that if I get hooked into something, you know, so with them being rusted over, who knows how easily it'll snap. So we'll go ahead and put this on the fan, we'll let it dry up, and then we'll flip the hooks back around and show you guys what it looks like all finished up there. Alright folks, so we're back. We had some dry time on this one. I also found a lunker hunt that needed some surgery up towards the front, and I put a little dab there by the weight because the weight was starting to sink in. So that one's kind of sitting here drying still. I'm going to let that one fully cure. I went ahead and put this one back up on the fan again. That second coat, I mean, it's a little bit rougher, but it really, especially this spot where I kind of put too much on the first time, it really kind of healed things over there, and just kind of squeezing around it. The weight's not breaking loose of the glue or anything like that. The rest of the frog still feels very, very soft and smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we can probably call this one a wrap and put it back in the tackle box. Actually, I'm going to tie it back on again so that I can continue to use it. The one thing with this one that I haven't done is the hook modification like I do on the hollow bodies, and that's mainly because this is the first one of these that I've run, and I really want to give it a true test as to what the hookup ratio is like on it. You can see when it's actually not dug into the barbs there. It's got about the same amount of hook penetration as a normal one, so I have a feeling I do want to bend it a little bit. I just don't want to bend it a whole lot because I really want to give this an honest review on how it is out of the box first. And you can see I've been getting bites on it. It's got some bass teeth there. So we're going to test this one out with the weight in it. Might be a little bit heavier of a weight, so I might have to speed up the retrieval to really get this boot kind of plopping like a whopper plopper. I'm going to probably have to find a new cadence for it with that retrieval speed. But I think all in all, it's going to perform perfectly fine. This new weight, it doesn't really kind of sit down all the way like it did before. I can see that looking at the hook rash marks. So I probably will just give it some slight bend of the hooks, just to kind of give it a better chance there. But every fish I've caught on this body has like immediately flipped out of the way. And you know, every time I reel one in, the body is always perfectly out of the way, and the hooks are in the top of the mouth exactly how they should be, with the exception of one of them so far. But yeah, I think that barb's kind of digging in there. So I'm going to adjust this one a little bit off camera and get back to throwing it again, and we'll go from there. Hopefully I'll have some footage for you guys of me catching a nice hog on this with the replacement weight and super glue. So we'll go ahead and call this video a wrap. We got this one drying. This one's gonna become garbage, unfortunately, but I think all in all this should be a very informative video for you guys You definitely got a couple pointers on this. You got to see a little bit of the surgery on this, and kind of how what I was talking about with how that plastic super glue will come into play there and definitely extend the life of your frog some. You can see this one still pretty much looks brand new, and I went ahead and just hit a couple dabs up here on the top where it had some slits in it. So we will go from there, and we will see you guys next time.